Welcome to US Briefing. The content of the briefing includes Bowser unveils anti-crime bill targeting retail theft, drug dealing in D.C. Legal bid to give Lockerbi families access to Massoud trial. Senator pleads not guilty to charges of acting as an agent of Egypt. Big tech earnings, home prices, SAG-AFTRA, what to watch. Venezuela's opposition primary, will Maduro finally be challenged? Bowser unveils anti-crime bill targeting retail theft, drug dealing in D.C. Yahoo! Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has unveiled new legislation targeting crime in the city. The legislation, called the Addressing Crime Trends Now Act Now, focuses on three areas: drug dealing, retail theft, and the wearing of masks to commit crimes. The bill would allow the police chief to designate drug-free zones for 120 hours, make it illegal to direct organized retail theft, and reinstate a law prohibiting mask wearing for criminal purposes. Crime in the city has been on the rise, with violent crime up 41% and property crime up 25% this year compared to 2022. Legal bid to give Lockerbi families access to Massoud trial. Yahoo! U.S. prosecutors have asked politicians to allow victims' families of the Lockerbi bombing to listen live to the second Lockerbi bombing trial. The prosecutors say many of the relatives of the victims are too old or infirm to travel to Washington to watch the court proceedings. They are seeking statutory authority for the court to allow remote video and telephone access to preliminary evidential hearings and the trial itself. Senator pleads not guilty to charges of acting as an agent of Egypt. The Guardian. U.S. Senator Bob Menendez has pleaded not guilty to charges that he conspired to act as an agent for the Egyptian government. Menendez, who stepped down from his position as chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee after being charged last month, is accused of accepting bribes in exchange for corrupt acts. The trial is tentatively scheduled for May. Menendez has resisted calls to resign and has said that he will prove his innocence. Big tech earnings, home prices, SAG-AFTRA, what to watch. Yahoo! On Tuesday, October 24, investors should pay attention to earnings reports from Microsoft and Alphabet, as well as the U.S. Home Price Index. Talks between studio executives and SAG-AFTRA will also resume, and the second AI Insight Forum will take place on Capitol Hill. Venezuela's opposition primary, will Maduro finally be challenged? Al Jazeera. Venezuela's opposition parties held their first primary in 11 years on Sunday to select a candidate to challenge President Nicolas Maduro in the 2024 presidential election. The primary was held without state assistance after the National Electoral Council took months to respond to a request for logistical help. The opposition hopes to rally support from voters in the country, which has been in deep economic crisis for years. However, it is unclear what will happen if a barred candidate wins the primary or if the opposition will put forward a candidate of Machado's choosing. Autopsies confirm 5 died of chemical exposure in tanker crash. Associated Press. Autopsies have confirmed that 5 people who died when a chemical tanker overturned in central Illinois last month died from exposure to caustic anhydrous ammonia fumes, an official said Monday. The official results confirmed preliminary findings from the September 29 crash. The victims, including 2 children, suffered severe chemical burns to their entire bodies, as well as their eyes and respiratory systems, she said. Traffic had been diverted onto US 40 from Interstates 57 and 70, about 5 miles west of Teutopolis, because of an interstate crash earlier that afternoon. Twitchers celebrate arrival of rare eastern osprey chick after clever plan hatched to outwit hungry fox. ABC. A rare baby eastern osprey chick has been born on Tumby Island in South Australia. The endangered chick hatched on a man-made platform, installed 2 years ago as part of a conservation program to save the eastern osprey, of which there are only an estimated 50 breeding pairs left in the state. The survival of the chick validates the program, which has installed 14 artificial nesting platforms across South Australia. Cameras installed on the Tumby Island platform attracted global attention and the support of Twitchers around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Six, your resident observer from the 6 dimensions. Today, we have a lineup of diverse news stories that range from the fight against crime in Washington, D.C., to the Lockerbi bombing trial, and even the heartwarming story of a rare osprey chick being born. So, let's dive in. First up, we have Mayor Muriel Bowser's anti-crime bill in D.C. The Addressing Crime Trends Now Act, or ACT Now, aims to tackle drug dealing, retail theft, and the use of masks for criminal purposes. With crime rates on the rise, it's good to see the city taking action. But I can't help but wonder if the criminals will now be running around with their faces uncovered, revealing their true identities. It might be a win for superheroes, but not so much for the villains. Moving on, we have the legal bid to give Lockerbi families access to the trial of Masood. U.S. prosecutors are requesting remote access for the victims' families who are unable to travel to Washington. Now, I understand the need for accessibility, but I can't help but imagine the chaos of having a virtual court full of pixelated faces and bad Wi-Fi connections. It might be a trial, but it could also turn into a comedy show. Next, we have Senator Bob Menendez pleading not guilty to charges of acting as an agent of Egypt. Politics, where the line between loyalty and bribery gets blurry. Menendez has stepped down from his position as chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, but he's determined to prove his innocence. I don't know about you, but I'm picturing Menendez in a courtroom doing his best impression of a lawyer from a legal drama. Let's hope his performance is convincing. Now, let's talk about earnings reports from Big Tech and the U.S. Home Price Index. Microsoft and Alphabet are set to announce their earnings, and I can already imagine the anticipation in the tech world. Will they exceed expectations and make investors happy, or will they fall short and send the stock market into a frenzy? As for the home price index, I can only hope that my dream of owning a house becomes a little more attainable. Fingers crossed. Moving on, we have Venezuela's opposition primary, where they hope to challenge President Nicolas Maduro in the upcoming election. The primary was held without state assistance, which just shows you how determined the opposition is. But here's the twist: what happens if a barred candidate wins the primary? Will they find a way to challenge Maduro, or will they be left scratching their heads? It's like a political game of chess, and I'm excited to see the next move. In a tragic turn of events, autopsies have confirmed that 5 people died from exposure to chemical fumes in a tanker crash in Illinois. It's a heartbreaking reminder of the dangers that lurk on our roads. And while I want to make a pun about the chemical reaction caused by the crash, it's important to remember that lives were lost, and we must strive for safer transportation systems. Lastly, we have the heartwarming story of a rare eastern osprey chick being born on Tumby Island in South Australia. It's a testament to the success of conservation efforts and the power of man-made interventions. Who would have thought that a platform could attract global attention and the support of Twitchers around the world? It just goes to show that sometimes, all it takes is a little creativity to make a big difference. And there you have it, folks. A mix of news stories that remind us of the challenges and triumphs we face as a society. Now, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on these stories? Do you have any questions or comments? Let's dive into a lively discussion and see what perspectives we can uncover. The floor is yours, my fellow adventurers in the 6 dimensions. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.